Hey guys, welcome back to JaRDev. Today I'm doing something a bit different. When I was in university, I did an English degree, and I took a couple of creative writing classes, and for those creative writing classes we had to write several short stories. So I've written quite a few short stories in my time. But I just found these stories again on my computer after not seeing them for quite a few years. The one I'm reading today was written in December 2012, so it's pretty old. It's over 3 years old. So I thought I would just read the whole story out for you. It's only 5 pages long, I think. It's called Human Remains. Pretty much all the short stories I wrote in 2012, and pretty much all the university, were all inspired by music of some kind. So this one is inspired by an album called Human Remains by a heavy metal band called Hell. The music doesn't really have too much to do with the story, but it's just what I was listening to at the time, and it just inspired me, really. So without further ado, I will begin. Human Remains by John Bell. The first thing he was aware of was that it was hot. Hot as hell. There was an all-encompassing heat that he could feel in every pore of his body. He opened his eyes to find himself staring at what looked like the roof of a cave. He pulled himself from lying down into a sitting position and took in his surroundings. He was indeed in a cave. A rock cave that was very dark, but at the entrance he could see a distant light somewhere beyond the mouth of the cave. He realized then that he'd been lying on a sort of stone bed. The top was smooth, but the rest of it was roughly hewn. It jutted out of the wall and went all the way to the ground. He swung his legs off the bed and onto the floor. Now you could see that he was wearing black shoes with white laces and a pair of dark blue jeans. They looked new to him, as the laces were pristine white, which was surprising given where he'd just woken up. Where am I? He couldn't believe it had taken him so long to ask himself this question. He had no idea where he was. He'd never seen the clothes he was wearing before in his life. He couldn't remember coming to the cave either. In fact, now that he put his mind to it, he couldn't seem to remember anything before waking. Ah, Mr. Johnson, you're finally awake. He whipped his head up at the voice, and he could just make out a figure leaning against the wall of the mouth of the cave. Who's Mr. Johnson? He croaked out. Why, you are, of course, the stranger replied. Or would you prefer Tim? My name's Tim? Yes, I suppose you don't remember that yet, do you? The stranger cheerfully asked. Tim shook his head. Well, that will come in time. Why don't we get out of this dreary cave? We'll be able to see each other much better out here. The man beckoned with one hand and turned and left the cave. Confused, Tim got to his feet. He prepared himself for a feeling of lightheadedness he associated with lying flat for too long, but none came. He moved warily to the mouth of the cave and saw that there was more rock outside in the form of a tunnel. He could see that it did indeed look lighter further down, and he hurried to catch up with the man. The tunnel abruptly ended, leading into a wider and much brighter tunnel. Here, Tim got his first good look at the man. He was wearing a black pinstripe suit with a red tie. Shiny black dress shoes peeked out from under his pants. He had short black hair and a carefully maintained goatee. The last thing about the man that Tim noticed was his eyes. They were piercing ice blue. Isn't that much better now? The stranger asked. Tim blinked. I'm sorry, but I have no idea who you are or where I am. You seem to know me, but I don't know who the hell you are. The man burst out laughing. Ah, excellent choice of words, Mr. Johnson. Can I call you Tim? Mr. Johnson just seems far too formal, wouldn't you agree? Tim nodded in bewilderment. Well, Tim, he continued, I am, no matter how many times I have to do this, it never gets any easier. Winking at Tim's continued bewildered expression, he went on. Quite simply, I am the devil. I'm sorry, Tim said. Did you just say that you were the... Yes, the devil, Satan, Beelzebub, Shaitan, Lucifer, however you want to put it. Then... am I in hell? Yes, very good, Tim. Most people don't catch on as quickly as you do. Satan seemed almost pleased with him. And if you're in hell, then that means... Satan waited expectantly. Tim didn't have to think for long what it meant. I'm dead then? Satan nodded, a smile spreading across his face. Tim noticed, with a hollow feeling in his stomach, that the smile didn't quite reach his eyes. You don't look like the devil in pictures, Tim said. You look much too human. Oh, there are those who will see me as a red demon with horns and a pointy tail, the devil told Tim. You see, people will see me exactly how they think I should appear. The fact that you see me as a human tells me a lot about you, Tim. Tim paused for a moment to take that in. How did I die? He asked hesitantly. Satan's smile spread even wider. I could tell you, but I'd much rather show you. Close your eyes now, Tim. Tid did as he was bidden. The darkness in his vision seemed to fill him up completely. He is floating, seemingly in one place, but in all places at once. He sees a man hurrying towards the front door of an office building. The man has a backpack slung over one shoulder. Tim watches as the man enters the front doors. Now he's no longer above the man, but is instead right behind him. Tim watches the man nod to the receptionist before getting into an elevator. Once inside, he pushes the button marked 14 with his thumb and waits. The elevator dings as it reaches the 14th floor, and the doors slide open. The man crouches down and pulls what Tim recognizes as a pump-action sawed-off shotgun from the backpack. Rising back to his feet, he steps out of the elevator, shotgun first. The young girl behind the receptionist desk gets the first shot, barely having time to even look up. The shot makes a horrifyingly loud sound, but nobody rushes out of their offices to see what it is. The man with the gun turns right at the desk and walks down the corridor. At the second door on the left, he opens the door and shoots the man behind the desk in the chest. He falls out of his chair from the force of the shot, and his crisp white shirt begins to turn crimson. The gunman is already gone from the room by the time the man behind the desk takes his final breath. In the corridor again, the gunman kicks open the door to the women's bathroom and pauses as he sees a man and a woman groping at each other. When they don't notice him right away, he raises a shotgun and pumps a shell into each of them. They fall to the ground, still wrapped around each other, shocked expressions on their faces. The gunman leaves the bathroom and walks to the door at the end of the hallway. Tim has just enough time to read the plaque that says David Harmon, CEO, before that door too is opened and he's inside. The man behind the desk, David Harmon presumably, raises his head at the interruption. David's eyes take in the gun, then move up to the man's eyes, and then his face is blown apart by 2 shots. The man with the gun leaves David Harmon's office. He stops in front of a door with a much simpler plaque than the one on David Harmon's door. This one reads, Tim Johnson, Legal Department. Tim can only watch in horror as the door is opened and the man steps in. There is no one behind the desk. The man places the barrel of the shotgun in his mouth. Just before he pulls the trigger, Tim gets his first look at the man's face. It's like looking into a mirror. Tim sank to his knees, eyes still closed. Hard brimstone beneath him dug into his knees. He covered his face with his hands, tears forming, and already running down his cheeks. How could I do those things then with no remorse, but only feel regret for them now? Taking his hands away from his face, he slowly raised his eyes to look at the devil, pleas already beginning to form on his lips. There was not even the slightest hint of a smile on Satan's face. Well, there you go. That was a short story I wrote called Human Remains. I'd be very interested to hear what people thought of it. I know this is kind of a weird video. It's totally out of left field. It's not at all what normally goes on the channel. But I just found a story again, and I remember I really liked this story, so I just thought I'd share it with you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like the video. If you didn't and don't want to see any more of this kind of stuff, that's no problem. Feel free to dislike the video. I have no problem with that at all. Thank you guys very much for listening though, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!